Welcome everybody. Got a little bit of a different video for you today. I've got a wedge fitting video for you. So what I'm going to do here is just maybe highlight the importance of getting your wedges gapped correctly. So, you know, a lot of golfers will get our irons custom fitted, maybe a driver custom fitted, but sometimes the wedges are always overlooked, and it's a very important part of the game because these are our scoring clubs. So we've got to be covering some distances here with the correct lofts for when you get out on that golf course. So what I'm going to do is a little wedge gapping session on myself. So I've just hit a batch of shots with my actual pitching wedge from my set, which is a Strixon Z745 pitching wedge, which loft is 46 degrees. So I'm looking to put maybe a gap wedge in there, a sand wedge, and maybe a lob wedge as well. So I personally will carry 4 wedges in total, which includes my pitching wedge. Now some of you guys out there may have more fairways and hybrids in the bag, so you might be a little bit more restricted on how many wedges you can carry. So you've got to look at, obviously you can't have more than 14 clubs in your golf bag. So some guys may be carrying sort of like a weaker gap and a stronger lob. So they're going to have wedge, gap, lob, and maybe just have 3 wedges in there. So you've got to look at your whole bag makeup as to and maybe determine how many wedges you want to carry. Okay, so today I'm going to use the Cleveland RTX wedge fitting system here, which we've got here. So we've got a lot of heads here with different shafts we can connect in, different loft options to then hit on GC2 to get a carry distance. And that's what I'm really looking at here is a pitch distance. Okay, we don't want to take into account run out because generally these wedges are going to stop fairly quickly, hopefully. So we're going to get an average of maybe 3-4 good strikes on carry distance. So like I said, I've just hit my wedge already. So we'll just have a quick look at those numbers there, and then we'll see which gap loft option we'll start with first. So this is my pitching wedge, which is 46 degrees here. So we're looking at the carry distance, which is this column here. Okay, so this is my pitch distance with my pitching wedge. So I'm averaging it at 128. You can see these numbers are fairly tight. One just a little bit weaker, but we've got to look at it as an average really. So 128. So maybe wanting to sort of get a gap in here, roughly sort of 12 to 14 yards between each club that you would sort of see through the whole set. So when I carry that on here, so maybe we're going to be looking at something around the sort of 115 mark roughly, okay, which will give me that next gapping down. Okay, so I've just took a 52 degree RTX off my wedge fitting cart. Okay, so there we go, 52 degree here. So we'll hit a batch of shots with this and we'll see how that slots in. Like I say, I'm hopefully looking for somewhere around 112, 115 sort of yard area approximately. Okay, so let's get underway and hit a few with this. I've just changed the shot number, ball flight on here. So we've got a red ball flight on this one now. Okay, so that carried 107. I'm going to hit a few more shots here and we'll get a bit of an average of the total distance. So there's a batch of shots hit with a 52 degree here. So let's look at our carry distance here. So we're 128 with a pitching wedge. We've dropped down maybe a little bit too far here at 106 yards. Okay, so again, look at it as an average here at 106. So it's a little bit lower than maybe where I want this. So what I'm just going to do, I haven't actually got a 50 degree in the RTX 3, but I do have my old RTX 2, which is a 50 degree. So I'm going to hit some with that, and hopefully we can just nudge this number up a little bit around that sort of 112 to 115 area. Let's have a go with that now. Okay guys, so I've got my 50 degree in my RTX 2 wedge here. So we'll hit some with this. Yeah, that looks good straight away. That just carried at 114, which is ideal. Again, I'm going to hit a batch of shots, so I'll come back to you. Okay, so there's a batch hit with the 50 degree here. So let's look along this carry number. Here we go. 115, so a little bit better, or around the number that we want. So pitcher wedge was 128. We went to a 52 degree, okay, which is a gap wedge. but that dropped it down a little bit too low at 106. So I've just gone a slightly stronger than the loft to the 50 degree, still a gap wedge, and that's just pumped it up a little bit more to the 115, which gives me a little bit better gapping from the 128 there. There's the 13 sort of yards which I'm looking for. Okay, so far so good. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a different view from that in terms of how this starts to look on the actual dispersion ring. So you can see the pitching wedge is the white, the 50 degree was the yellow ring, and the 52 degree was the red ring. So obviously without the yellow in there was a big gap between the white and the red ring, which was the 46 wedge to the 52 gap. So that 50 degrees plotting it in there really quite nicely there. Okay, so I'm going to want to try and look for a sand wedge option here now, to try and sort of plug me down from this sort of 115 to maybe around the 100 mark. Okay, I'm going to, I'll keep that in for now actually, because obviously we don't, the 52's sort of gone really now. But I'll keep those numbers in there just for future reference. Okay. Okay, so back to the RTX3, this time in a 54 degree option, which is like a stronger sand wedge here. Okay, so as I said before, I'm looking for this to get around that sort of 100 mark. Okay, so let's give this one a hit. Okay, so there's a batch hit with the 54 degree RTX, which is like a strong sand wedge. And as I called it, and exactly where I wanted it, funny enough, bang on 100 there. So again, a couple a little bit short, couple a little bit over, but averaged on bang on 100. So again, really good sort of gap in it. So 115 down to 100 here, which is great. So just moving this a little bit further up. So we've got our pitcher wedge there at 128. Okay, we've got the 52 there that we decided wasn't correct. Okay, we've got the 50 degree at 115, so that brought us down 13 yards, which was perfect. And then we've got the 54 degree sand wedge coming in at 100, so that brought us 15 down. So we're getting a really good sort of pattern going here. Okay, so we're going to flick into, let's try a 58 degree, which is like a stronger lob wedge. And probably looking here around that sort of 85 sort of area. Okay, so let's get underway and hit a few with that. Okay. So I've just changed over. This is the beauty of this wedge fitting system. We've got all the lofts, we can interchange and get them over quite quickly, which is great. So RTX3 now in the 58 degree loft option. So like I said, it's like a strong sort of lob wedge here. So again, I've just changed the GC2, so we've got an orange ball flight here, and hopefully we're looking around that 85 yard sort of pitch area with this. Okay, so let's get underway. Let's hit a few with this. Strike. Okay, that just pitched in at 88, so looking quite good start there. Okay, a batch of shots for this and I'll be back shortly again. Okay, so there's a batch hit with that 58 degree. Okay, struck that really nice. Just get that little ball mark strike patterns there. Lovely, lovely. Okay, let's have a quick look at those numbers and see if that gapped in the right area we're looking for. Okay, so orange colour, 58 degree. We're gapping that in at 84, which is perfect there. Okay, so we're going a little bit stronger, a little drop off, but got to look at it as an average 84 yards. So we're giving us approximately that 15 yard gap again here, which is absolutely perfect. So just to summarise here what we've done, we've got the 46, which is my pitching wedge in the actual set. So that's carrying out at 128. We then flicked over to the 50 degree. I've deleted the 52 because I know that wasn't the right gap in here. So we tried it, didn't work. So we went to the 50 degree. That gapped us down to 115, which was 13 yards difference there, which is perfect. Okay, I'll just move this down a little bit. Okay, and then we went to 54 degree, which brought us in at bang on 100, which again was just another 15 yard gap down. And then we went to 58 degree in the lob wedge, which brought us down to 84. So we've got a good sort of between 13 and 15 stroke 16 yard gap between those lofts there, which gives us some good sort of spreads when we're out on that golf course. Okay, so maybe you get a bit of an idea here of how a gapping session would sort of take place in terms of trying to find all those different yardages. Now, sometimes on paper, the distances between all the lofts doesn't always give the exact differences of yardages, because everybody hits the ball slightly different. So sometimes what's on paper in terms of loft numbers, you think, well, that should fit perfectly there, might not actually hit those physical distances here. So this is where it's important to maybe get on a launch monitor and do an actual fitting stroke gapping session really, and make sure you're hitting some numbers. Prime example here, I had a customer in the other day, one of the members here, and his pitching wedge was quite a strong one at 44 degrees, I think it was. So we went into a 50, tried that, and actually that just flew a little bit too far. So we literally by a few yards, so we actually tweaked that to a 49 degree. Okay, so we've actually gone in between the loft that they offer. So through custom fit, you can have these lofts tweaked accordingly. So we've got quite accurate with him here and got it onto 49 degree. Then I think he went 54 and then 58, and that gave him a perfect sort of gapping through the bag really. Okay, so as you can probably see there, I've got those gaps there. Now sometimes when you get less than that sort of lob wedge, and not everybody likes to hit a lob wedge full out, some guys just really keep that for around the green, the upper and under shots, which is absolutely fine. But maybe then you're into the realms of the technique in terms of making some sort of 3/4 length swings with a particular loft hits X amount of distance. So again, it's a case of getting on a launch monitor and playing around with that. Use these different lofts, maybe have a sort of, again, a wedge fitting session, or even a lesson really, probably at this stage, and just try and feel different lengths of swings with certain lofts to maybe hit the next ones down of like sort of 75 yards, 65 yards, 55 yards, and so on. And maybe what a lot of golfers do is they have it on a graph, so they might put this onto a bit of paper and so right, 3/4 with my 54 degree hits 65 yards, for example. And, you know, so they can really relate to that when they're out on the golf course. And that's very strong if for any golfers using laser or GPS, you know, whether it's a watch or handheld unit. You get the yardage, you're looking at your sheet, you've done your groundwork in here in a fitting session, you know your numbers, boom, go and play that shot, and hopefully you can play with a little bit of confidence. Okay guys, hope you've really enjoyed that video. It's a bit of a different one there, and I think it really highlights the importance of going out there and getting fit. You know, short game is key. You look at the tour guys, they're red hot, you know the numbers, they're pitching it right into that flag, aren't they? So, you know, there's no reason why you guys can't take advantage of something like this and get your short game really sort of nailed on. Thanks for watching guys, please subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you all very soon.